Welcome back. Our next question is from Eddie.
Dear Ed and George, Eddie Barnes at the John Smith Centre here at Glasgow University, thoroughly enjoying the podcast. We have a big piece of research coming out this week on the views of young people across the UK. And obviously it's coming out with a lot of attention on issues like toxic masculinity and social media in the wake of the Netflix series Adolescence. Our poll shows that young people agree toxic masculinity is becoming more of a problem, and that includes among young men too. And there's also support for restrictions on social media use. So I'm interested in where you see government's role. Is it to regulate our way through this? And should government get involved in questions that involve family life and even how to parent? Many thanks.
So I have to declare an interest here. This is the John Smith Centre, set up by John Smith's family after his death, leader of the Labour Party in 1994. And it is a cross-party charity all about inspiring young people to get involved in politics and public life. Ruth Davidson was on the Board of Trustees. Michael Gove, a former Inside the Room participant, is now back on the trustees. A wide group of trustees. They're all brilliant. Catherine Smith has been chairing the charity for the last few years.
We used to have, I think we used to host an event in number 11 for it every year. I remember when I was Chancellor.
There we are. They've just produced this piece of research on young people's attitudes to politics. And it's really, really interesting across a range of different areas. The thing I wanted to pick out, which I just thought was very striking, given the conversation we had about Adolescence, the Netflix drama about young people and the influence of social media, within this wider survey about optimism, belief in democracy, all those kind of things, the research asks 16 to 29-year-olds what they think of young people engaging on social media. Absolutely fascinating. 67% of the young people aged 16 to 29 said that social media should be banned for under 16s. These are young people who've gone through a childhood of social media and now look back on it and think it's sufficiently negative that it's something that they would advocate being banned. And that was the same for men and for women. Broadly the same numbers. They were also asked, is toxic masculinity becoming more of a problem? 67% say toxic masculinity is becoming more of a problem, slightly more for women, slightly less for men. But I just thought that was really interesting. Very hard for us on social media because we didn't have a childhood when we were in the playground de facto at 10 at night because we had Snapchat or whatever on our phones. For that generation of young people wanting politics to work, wanting a less divisive politics, wanting to feel more optimistic about the future, they were pessimistic about the influence of social media on young lives.
What can government do about it? I mean, that's very interesting research. But, the question here from Eddie is like, what should government do to get involved? I mean, it's quite hard, isn't it? I mean, obviously, it's a big responsibility of government to create a climate in which kids are well brought up in a country. But, do you get into the kind of trying to ban phones in schools as a kind of blanket rule from the national government rather than leaving it to head teachers? Do you, if you go to the sort of extreme, China regulates, doesn't it, the number of hours that children and adolescents can spend gaming and on social media. And then the social media companies are required by Chinese law to turn off their device, essentially, or turn off their access to particular websites. I mean, so some governments do go to quite extreme lengths.
If you look at the guidance from YouTube, they say that children under a certain age, I think it's 12, it certainly used to be 12, should not be on YouTube. So even the social media companies themselves give this guidance. I think most parents don't know about it. But if young people who, unlike us, have experienced this are saying it's a problem and there should be action, we certainly have to start the conversation about what the right action is. And I think, I was talking to Pixie Lott, the pop star.
You can't get away with that.
I was talking to Pixie Lott this morning about her one-year-old son, Bertie, and asking her, because she is somebody who's grown up with social media, what attitude will she take? And I think she had the same reaction as you. She didn't want to ban, but it's so hard to navigate and you want your children to be safe. And I think there is a conversation here to be had with young people, led by government, but also led by wider society on what we do. And it's good to see the John Smith Centre contributing to that.